You join me once again in crisis with the Land Cruiser. This time I've got bolts that are sheared off in the block. Now these are the two offending bolts. They are sheared off at two different lengths, but they're an M8 partial threaded bolt. This is what holds the auxiliary power heater onto the block, and they both sheared off. That's ridiculous. The original mission was fixing this bolt, which was the idler pulley, so that I could get my aircon compressor fitted back on, and we discovered that the heater was rattling back and forward. Or as you probably saw, my dad noticed that it was rattling. So I thought I'll just swap the bolts, took the whole thing off and discovered that both bolts had snapped, and you could see the piece left behind. I've never done bolt extraction before, so I borrowed this kit from Big Dave. It's got the attachments for pulling off nuts. These are the ones I'm particularly interested in because they'll fit into my drill. These ones don't even fit the chuck end of my drill, so that's not much use to me. And left-handed drill bits. These are interesting because, as you'll see, one of my bolts comes out just with the drill bit alone. And by using a left-handed drill bit, you get that chance. The other one needed the actual extractor, which is sometimes called easy outs. To try and help some of you who might get stuck with this job, here's what I used. That is a center punch. I've got a couple of versions of this. That is a cheap Chinese one, and when you put it on, it marks a dot in the center of the steel. This one is a hardened bit, and it's a much more prominent hole that it creates. That then allows the drill bit to center in rather than wandering around while you're doing the drilling. Now unfortunately, the Sealey kit went blunt almost immediately. It just did not survive. So I also used a couple of my own hardened right-hand thread bits to help me get the hole started. And then basically you want to use the biggest extractor or drill bit that you can get in the hole so that it's less likely to snap. I snapped the tiniest one of the left-handed drill bits. You just want to get the most girthy boy that you can into the hole. Access, of course, is a real challenge, so I pulled off the heater bracket itself, some of the hoses, I removed the coolant reservoir, just to give me a better access to the area, because I knew I was going to be drilling. The other thing I'd recommend is to use the shortest frame of drill that you can get away with. This one's far too big, didn't want to use that, partly because it's a bit broken, but also because this one gave me much better access in front of the radiator without a risk of bashing this off the radiator shroud or anything like that. A short drill frame is better if you have the option. Now, a more unusual tip, not everyone will have access to this, but I used the induction heater to help loosen things off a bit. So as always, I used my trusty DJI Power 1000. The induction heater uses about 250 to 300 watts, so this is more than capable. It lets me just plonk this on the engine bay and run the induction heater. I used the induction heater to heat up the cast iron around the bolt, just hoping for a little bit of expansion to help free it off. Now, I was only able to get access to one bolt, but as you can see here, this is literally just the cheapest Chinese induction heater money can buy. There's nothing fancy about this. I didn't need to use any of the fancy pads. I just used the circular, I guess collar, I don't know what the right word for it, but the attachment, and I just sleeved it over the top and ran it for about a minute to heat up and hopefully free off the bolt. And my sock keeps falling off, so I'm going to throw that in the bin. My process for extracting the bolt is as follows. Clear the area as much as I can, remove any excess parts to get better access. I'm going to use my center punch, and I'm going to center punch several times to try and create a better hole. And then I'll start with the smallest drill bit that I can get away with. Now for me, these almost always snap, so I try not to use too much pressure. I'm just trying to expand the hole. Keep stepping up my drill bits so that I can get the thickest drill bit that I possibly can in there. Now with the first bolt at the top, this is the one with better access, eventually the left-handed thread just seized onto it and started extracting it out of the hole. And it flew out so fast that I didn't actually catch it on video. The second one was a bit more difficult. Same process, center punch the hole, using just WD-40 as a bit of oil, a bit of lubricant to help with the cutting. And in this case, I used the second smallest extractor, and it popped the bolt right out. I did, however, make a mess of the hole because I was wandering off to one side at one point. So you can see I've actually drilled the threads at the side of the hole. So once I finish up, I'll just run my tap and die through that, or rather the tap, I'll run the tap through that hole just to clean the threads again. Fortunately, the threads also get cleaned as the bolt is extracting. It will clean the threads and take any debris out with it as it comes out. So that's a bit of good news. I was able to get those extracted in around 45 minutes. The biggest pain was the drill bits that were blunt. I had to switch to right-hand normal twist drill bits in order to get a good hole, and then use the left threaded drill bits to expand it and hopefully pop the thing out. That worked in one case, and in the second case I had to get the extractor. This is good news for me because now I don't have to replace the auxiliary heater or pull some bracket that removes it. I can keep it in place and just put some new bolts down. Now, sod's law, I don't actually have a bolt this size, so I have ordered these from Amayama. They're on the way from Japan right now, but they're probably not going to come for another 3 weeks, which is before my holiday. So I'm just going to see if I can get a hold of some longer M8 bolts and thread them through into position. So that's it, just a couple of tips to help you with bolt extraction. Hopefully you don't end up in the same mess as me, but it is possible to get access down there and drill out stuck bolts from the block. Tips being sharp drill bits, use the induction heater if you can, go slow so that you don't overwhelm the drill bit and shatter it into 1,000 pieces, and always try to use the biggest and thickest drill bit and extractor that you can, because there's less chance of breakages. I'm not the most patient of people, so go slow, be patient if you can, and you'll get that bolt out. Now, one other thing I spotted, there's a really great Project Farm video where he goes through maybe a dozen sets of bolt extractors and tests them all. Consistently, the Snap-on was the best kit that he had, and it's probably somewhere about £120 to buy that. There was another kit that was £50 from Amazon, and you can still buy them. In fact, I'll link it down below. Apparently, they're just as good. The Sealey kit, the drill bits were snapping constantly. The smallest extractor snapped already, but they did the job. So that was it. I hope those tips are useful. If you're in the same situation and you're stuck with some sheared bolts, I wish you good luck in the wars to come. I hope you have as easy a time of it that I did. Good luck and goodbye. Make good decisions if you can. Look after one another, and I'll see you in another video very soon. I hope that was helpful. Take care, everyone. Bye.